the step in.
That was good.
You like that? Welcome to another episode of Dirt Nap City. This is the podcast about interesting dead people. My name is Alex. I'm here with my friend Kelly, and we have another appearance today by Al from Austin.
Hey, folks.
And actually, today we are not in Austin. We are coming to you live. Actually, today we are not in Austin. We are coming to you live from Alex's dining room table in the Houston area. We're not going to tell you where he lives because he doesn't want to be swamped by. He doesn't want to be
fans.
Yeah, he doesn't want fans. I mean, you've had that before, right? People stop you on the street and want your autograph.
We have heavy security here, but.
Well, so today we actually are going to be doing a really amazing episode. We don't know, Alex and I don't know who it is, but Al from Austin has prepared something. He's been working on this for weeks. Now, if you didn't hear his previous episode, which was about Madame Tussauds, who is the wax museum lady, then you missed out because he is definitely one of our best episodes ever.
But there's good news.
Yeah.
It's still available to listen to.
Oh, that's right. They're all available on demand.
It hasn't melted like wax.
I think demand is a little strong, though. Like, you don't demand a podcast episode. You just...
I think the people demand it.
Oh.
I hear there's a lot of demand for this podcast episode. And I also want to just say to Liquid Death, F you, Liquid Death. I'm drinking Hint today because you haven't become our sponsor. I don't think Hint's a good sponsor, but Hint, if you want to jump in, Liquid Death.
Why
Take
wouldn't
the
Hint
hint.
be a good sponsor?
Because they have nothing to do with death. They're not Dirt Nap City.
But do they have money?
True.
Yeah.
They're probably owned by Liquid Death.
Right.
Anyway, we are here in the Houston area. It's starting to get warm. I got to mention the weather. But if you're listening to this, it could be cold. Who knows? And Al is about to take us through an amazing story about someone.
This is great because we're both in the dark right now. Can you flip on the light? Yeah.
There it is. All right, folks. Let me kick this off. I think the model is we start off with some general clues and try to get you guys to see if you can guess who I'm thinking about.
Now, you know what constitutes a good clue and a bad clue, right? Here's some
Alex
instances.
always tells me my clues are bad.
Here's an instance of Kelly's clues. Their middle name was Kenneth, and they had the same birthday as my sister.
That should be obvious.
Oh, yeah, right? Okay. All right. So I think I'm pretty good on clues, actually. So this person, and by the way, again, falls squarely in your wheelhouse. And so that will be your first clue. Yeah.
Me, 20th century white person.
You got it.
White man.
You got it.
All
okay.
right.
So we've narrowed it down. This person was a musician. By the way, last night I had just kind of a brief moment where I was concerned this person wasn't dead. I did confirm this person is dead. So a musician, an innovator / inventor, but he's probably best known for his product endorsement.
Like TV commercials kind of thing? Or just laying his name on something.
Laying his name on something.
Is it Les Paul?
It sure is.
Hey.
Yeah, there it is, man. That is nice. Really good.
Well, I guess you give good clues.
Exactly. Or maybe I give bad clues. Let me go ahead and run through.
What was his middle name?
Williams.
See?
William. I think it's
Yeah,
William.
that would have given it away.
William.
Yeah. And he has the same birthday as my sister.
Let me give you a couple of more clues because I think these are pretty cool. Early on in his career, in his music career, he was a country musician performing under the name Rhubarb Red.
Oh man.
That's a good name.
His real name was Les Paul, though?
No. We'll get to that. He is the only person who is inducted to both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Inventors Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I didn't know there was an Inventors Hall. Can we go visit the Inventors Hall of Fame?
I think Tom Morello should be in the Inventors Hall of Fame, though.
Why?
Hasn't he invented a lot of cool stuff?
I don't know.
And Tom Schultz? right? From Boston? Didn't he invent like some sort of weird...
Well, I think what you're going to see is, I know that Schultz did invent an effects pedal.
Yeah.
What we're going to see is that Les Paul invented and created a lot more stuff.
Yeah, and
Moog, yeah. He should be in there too.
That name actually came up as somebody, you might be surprised that Moog is not in here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you listen to the synthesizer episode, it's one of our dead ends.
Yep. Okay, so here's another clue that I'll elaborate on this later on. He is Steve Miller's godfather.
Whoa.
Isn't that cool?
From the Steve Miller Band.
The Steve Miller.
Wow. He's the Joker's grandfather.
Yeah.
Yep,
Some people call him Maurice.
Brother Maurice?
What is this? Handling monkeys all day and all night? Something I don't remember. So something like that. Yeah. So of course I am talking about the one and only Lester Poultice.
No, Poultice? Lester Poultice.
Eastern European or something?
Eastern European. Les Paul.
Changed it to Les Paul.
Yes. And I don't recall if he changed it or if his family changed it.
It is one of those names that you forget that there's a person behind it. It's just so ubiquitous and synonymous with guitars.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you would say is it a Les Paul?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And so there's a lot about Les Paul as I got into this that I thought I knew some things about him. I knew some things, but I learned so many things. And I would say that after doing this, my takeaway is that his contribution to music is much greater than the guitar. In fact, the people who are in the industry, I think, would recognize his contribution as well beyond of the guitar that we'll get into. But you can't talk about Les Paul without talking about really the history of electric guitars. And the whole thing about electric guitars is about amplification. And that sounds simple and obvious, but the driver was in the 30s, the big band era. There were, what do you think of when you think of a big band?
A lot of horns.
What else? A lot of drums.
Oh, yeah.
And both of which completely drowned out the guitar. So guitars weren't part of the big band era early on because you couldn't hear them, right? And whether that be in a live club or in the studio, the problem was still the same. And so there was this move to try to amplify the guitar. And the first one that came out is something called the frying pan. Have you guys ever heard of that or maybe seen a picture of it?
Nope.
Rickenbacker. You recognize that name?
Yeah, sure.
Rickenbacker created the first successful electric guitar, and it was called the frying pan. I believe it was made out of aluminum, and it was a solid body. And it kind of looked like a frying pan. It had a long neck, maybe like a banjo. But the thing was, it was called a Hawaiian-style guitar, which meant it laid on your lap instead of holding it up in, like we think of with the traditional guitars. That's called a Spanish-style guitar. And so...
The one that you hold up is a Spanish style?
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, I'll get to it, but the move was, all right, how do we amplify a Spanish style guitar? And so the thought was, we'll just put a microphone onto a hollow body, standard guitar, which is a hollow body guitar, which sounds conceptually, right? That makes sense. But it then created another problem, and they tend to feedback. And getting into the little bit of technical part, I understand the soundboard of the hollow body guitar starts to vibrate, and that vibration causes a feedback, and it just causes more problems. It doesn't solve a problem. And so a lot of people were working on this, but one of them was this guy who was a tinkerer and always tweaking with stuff and trying to figure things out. And it was Les Paul. And he came up with a very early version of an electric guitar that had a solid body. So
did he play guitar also?
Yes. So I mentioned he's a musician, right? And that's a really important part of the story about him being a musician and the notoriety with that. So he comes up with this prototype of a solid body guitar, and it is in essence an electric guitar. It's a guitar that's mounted on a 4x4 piece of pine.
Oh,
And he cut out the edges of a traditional hollow body guitar, and he put them on the edges of it to make it look like holistically it looked like a guitar.
right.
But the critical part was that solid seam that went through, the 4x4 piece of pine. So he took it to Gibson, right? So now he takes it to Gibson and says, "This is what I got," and we know where this goes, right?
So now it's all Gibson. Les Paul is an addition of Gibson. Is a style of Gibson.
Yeah. So what happened then? Which was like I think in 1946 ish. They laughed him out of the room. They said, "What, are you kidding? This looks like a broomstick with strings on it. Get out of here."
Wow.
And so a lot of people were working on.
Did it sound good?
I don't know that it sounded good, but it was a prototype that was really maybe a proof of concept type.
It just
thing.
had to sound better than the frying pan.
It had to sound better than the frying pan. It had to sit up in the Spanish style,
Right.
which, by the way, Gibson's first electric guitar, which they still make today, is called an ES. Yeah, are you familiar? Either of you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with the SG, but not the ES.
The ES is, I think that Rick Emmett played an ES last night. Rick Emmett, who is a guitarist and singer with Triumph. So it does have a little bit of a feedback problem, but the ES stands for Electric Spanish, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is cool.
So they laugh him out of the room and he leaves. Pardon me.
Rude.
Very rude.
Do you know where was this all? Like what state? Do you know where Les Paul's from? Or?
Les Paul is from Wisconsin, and I believe that Gibson is from Michigan. In fact, there's a spinoff of the very high-end spinoff of Gibson guitars called Kalamazoo. And I think that's where the original Gibson factory was in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Have either of you ever been laughed out of a room before?
I was about to say, I thought you guys were going to laugh me out of the room today because of the setup or something, but no. What, are you going to do that?
Yeah. Is this a
No,
thought?
I just wondered if you've ever been laughed out of a room.
I don't know. I have not, but that would be like my worst fear.
Yeah.
I guess if you were a comedian, that'd be a goal.
I think the time when I came to Kelly with a list of 20 podcast ideas and he laughed at everyone is the closest but we weren't in a room. We were on a roof.
True.
I got laughed off the roof.
and
it wasn't really a laugh. It was more of a sneer.
Yeah. It was silent judgment.
Was that in Cleveland?
Wasn't that silent? Yeah.
Yeah.
Up on the roof.
Up on the roof. So a lot of people working on this problem, and somebody else got to market first, and you're familiar with Fender guitars. Leo Fender created a guitar, which the first name I think was like the Electrocaster or something like that. There was some lawsuit type thing.
I always thought Fender was Freddie Fender.
Yeah,
Is that the yellow ribbon guy?
Every early guitar had a
Tony
yellow
Orlando.
ribbon. Oh, see, me too. I did the same thing.
Feliz Navidad?
1950.
Wasted Days and Wasted Nights is Freddie Fender.
Thank you.
Wasted
and he was in the
days
Texas
and
Tornadoes.
wasted nights.
Do you remember the Texas Tornadoes was also Freddie Fender?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. Yeah. Doug Somm was in the Texas Tornadoes, right? So Fender comes out with the Esquire, and Esquire comes out. There's some name problem, but in a year later, it becomes the Telecaster. And if you're familiar with the Telecaster, it is the first commercially viable, successful Spanish-style electric guitar.
And that's the sound of the electric guitar that we know today.
That is the sound, and that's the guitar that Springsteen plays.
Little distorted.
No,
I mean, compared to an acoustic guitar.
The Desire was a very clean sound, amplified sound, and you're getting to
Effects pedals
to
and
effects.
pickups.
Yeah. So, 1950, Gibson comes back to Les Paul and says, "Hey, we need to talk." And so,
Sorry about that.
remember that one time we laughed you out of the room? Well, let's talk about this. But the conception or the perception rather is that they came to him to build a guitar and to design a guitar. And that's not true. They wanted a celebrity endorsement, and they needed a big name to put on a guitar that they could market. So they, by and large, Gibson engineered, designed, built the Les Paul. Les Paul's contribution, and there's no doubt about it, is he has a patent on the tailpiece, and that's a really important piece of the guitar. But that's not the shape, that's not the aesthetics. It's more the engineered side of it. And so there's been a lot of battles back and forth on who created this guitar. And Gibson will tell you it's his name, which is obviously very, very important, but Gibson designed and built the guitar.
So you say they needed a big name. Was he a big name?
Yes, that's the crazy part, right? I mean,
He was known as a musician back then.
back then he was a household name. He and
Country music?
jazz.
Oh, okay.
He and his wife, Mary Ford,
Yeah.
who plays a really big part in this. They were from 1950 to 1954. They produced 16 top 10 hits.
Wow.
1951, How High the Moon spent 9 weeks at number one. 1953, Vaya con Dios spent 11 weeks.
I know that one.
Yeah, 11 weeks at number one. In the 1950s, I think it was 1952, 1951, they had a TV show. That was...
A variety show?
No, if it was a variety show, it was the world's shortest variety show. It ran Monday through Friday, sponsored by Listerine. It was on for 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and it was called Les Paul and Mary Ford at Home.
Like an infomercial, basically, probably.
Like a
Basic-
TikTok.
Yeah, it was an early
Was
TikTok.
it shot in vertical?
Probably. It probably was.
Did they turn their film cameras sideways?
They might have, knowing Les Paul, because he liked to tweak a lot of things.
Yeah.
So they needed a big name, and at the time, the world was saturated with Les Paul. Now, side note, about Mary Ford, she was generally considered the winning part of the Les Paul Mary Ford show. She is a virtuoso on the guitar and a beautiful singer. And without her, it's unlikely that the duo would have been as popular as they were. And if they weren't, Gibson wouldn't have come to Les Paul. There would not be the Les Paul guitar. So it's reasonable to say that she too is a big factor into the advent.
It could have been called the Mary Ford guitar.
It probably
should have been called the Mary Ford guitar.
Or
She was a better guitarist than Les Paul?
I don't know. He was a virtuoso also.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were both really good. But one of the things...
Hashtag sexism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was a virtuosette.
Well,
Right.
Wow.
Thank
Hashtag sexism.
wow. Man, schooling.
You're welcome.
Yeah. What the things you learn on Dirt Nap City, kids, don't understand.
Are you a virtuoso? No, I'm more of a virtuosette.
So, we talked about the Les Paul and Mary Ford show, or at home show. They did two things. One was they sang, they showcased the guitar. Part of the endorsement deal is they could only play Les Paul model guitars, and they were flashy. The thing about the Telecaster, to this day, Fender, his plan was to create a guitar that was affordable and playable, durable. Gibson wanted to create a guitar that was beautiful.
So they were more like, Fender was more like a Honda, and Les Paul was more of a Cadillac.
I don't know that I would agree with that, because the Telecaster is such, in all Fenders, I mean, they're great guitars, and the Telecaster the Telecaster and the Stratocaster, those are phenomenal guitars. But at the time when they were building these things, one of the things that Gibson tried to do to distinguish themselves was to make it a little flashier.
Okay.
And so it has an arch top. The first one was called a gold top, and it was gold shiny, and because it would be sparkle on TV.
Oh, yeah.
And of course they had this TV opportunity, 5 minutes every day. And now, it's arguably the Les Paul is the most iconic guitar in rock and roll, in music. And it's kind of funny because it was promoted by a country and jazz guitarist who was really interested in a very pure sound. Now, let's talk about the sound. And Alex, you talked about pedals and, distortion and things like that. And I said earlier that some would consider Les Paul's greatest contribution to music was not the guitar. It was the production of music. And he was trying to produce a sound. Whatever that sound was, he had a vision that he was trying to create. And he viewed the recording process as an extension of the instrument. The instrument created the vibrations. Those vibrations were picked up by the equipment that were then manipulated and then produced a sound. And so one of the very first things that he figured out and created was multi-track recording. So before that, it was, we're all sitting in a room and we're going to record.
And 3 microphones, and we just, there's one microphone.
Yeah.
Like this 360 camera, it's sitting in the middle of the room and we're all just playing to it.
Yep. So
Wow.
he figured out how to manipulate the recorder that would allow him to record and then record over it again. And it became the advent of the multi-track recorder. He did not create it, but he did collaborate, and he commissioned a company to actually, to finalize it and make it. They made the first 8-track recorder. Then they called it the Octopus, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
But some of the other things that he created was delay, which is a very subtle effect that creates, without delay, modern music would just sound entirely different. Echo, variable speed recordings.
Like reverb, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Phasing, which honestly, I don't know exactly what phasing is.
I think that's a that kind of sound, when it makes that weird, like, so actually, I think I know what phasing is, because in sound, you can have, if you hook up a stereo system and you have your positive and your negative wires, maybe it's sound and ground, I'm not exactly sure, but there's 2 inputs on speaker wires, and then there's 2 inputs on the other speaker. So each speaker has a plus and a minus, let's say, and then your stereo has a plus and a minus. If you get those backwards, they're out of phase. If you actually hook up one reversed, you put the positive on the negative and vice versa on the other one, then you'll hear this kind of weird, it creates, because what's happening is, I think, one makes the speaker push out and one makes it pull in, or something along those lines. And so instead of them both pushing out at the same time, one is pushing out and one is pulling in, and it creates this weird kind of noise cancellation.
Little tension.
Yeah. So I think that's the concept. Actually, Chris from Austin might be able to tell. He's an audio engineer and he knows a lot about this. So maybe he can comment on this
regarding the sound.
Yeah.
This is kind of a chicken or egg question, but so did Les Paul in his mind envision what rock and roll was going to sound like in the 70s and 60s, 70s and 80s, or did it sound like that because of the stuff he invented?
In my opinion, it sounded like that because of the stuff he invented. And it's, people get a toy, an effects pedal, right?
By the way, if you're a musician, that's not a toy, it's a tool.
Okay.
And is that the same thing as a wah-wah pedal?
That's a pedal. Yeah. How it works, I don't know. But, you're creating these things where it produces an interesting sound, and you say, wow, I like that. Kelly and I were talking about this on the way here. There's a couple of examples of sound engineers who heard an interesting sound, and rather than discarding it, they thought, "Oh, that's interesting. Let's play with that." One of which was there was a recording that would go into a sound booth where the performers were, and it was just to communicate back and forth.
It's a talkback mic.
A talkback mic.
Yeah.
And it was something wrong with it. And so it was compressing the sound in a very, unintentional way but it was it didn't really matter because it was just a talkback. But the sound engineer hears that and thinks, that's really interesting. Can we incorporate that into this recording? And that it's a very truncated, compressed sound that they use in drums. And if you heard it, you would go, that is iconic 1980s drum sound, which is making a comeback. And so it's coming back in modern music, everything, old is new again type of thing. And so I would imagine that a lot of these things, Les Paul wanted to record multiple parts. He wanted to play multiple instruments, or more likely he wanted to play multiple guitar parts in one recording. So how do you do that?
Oh yeah, he would have loved what Prince did with that, where he would make it a whole record by himself and play every instrument on each track being a different sound. And he was doing that when he was 16.
So that right there may be the greatest example of thank Les Paul for Prince, because he enabled that to happen. He didn't make what Prince did. Prince took it to the next level, but he enabled other creative people to go, oh, wait, I can do this. And again, that's the biggest contribution, in my opinion. So he late in life, he had the joy, the opportunity. He just continued playing guitar. He played until his 90s. He played at a club once a week in New York. It was a standing gig, and that's a pretty cool deal. We talked about these guys last night. They were in their 70s. They were rocking out. They were doing what they love and getting paid for it. And I got the sense that it was the same thing with Les Paul, where he's just, he's in his 90s and people still care enough to come hear him play guitar. He died at 94.
What year?
2009, I think.
This is Dirt Nap City, son.
Hey man, I'll give you the same.
Wait, you said last night you weren't sure he was dead.
Exactly.
And he died 15 years ago in his 90s?
2000.
No, that would be
2009.
That'd be 30 years ago.
2009 was 30 years ago.
27 years ago.
2009 was not.
Math
sorry.
is not Kelly's strong point.
That's why I like Triumph instead of Rush.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
sorry.
No, it was just kind of a moment where I thought, oh my gosh, is he really dead? But yeah. So
yeah, because he'd be 120.
Exactly. Yeah. So he died from complications with pneumonia.
From calluses on his fingers.
Well, I mean, it sounds like he died of old age.
Did he also invent the trachea tube that Joe Walsh uses?
That is called the golden throat, I believe. And
it's not that kind of show.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on that, but I could report back. Wow. So what that's doing is actually producing an airflow and it might have sound coming in, but if you have airflow going into your mouth and then you're shaping your mouth like an instrument, that's what that golden throat.
Let me ask this, totally music related, but not Les Paul related. Why did Triumph record Rocky Mountain Way?
And they did it like 2 years after the original too. They recorded it in like 77.
Oh, that's cool. I mean,
yeah, Alex. I mean, they played that as a cover, but it was a cover of
the Canadian version.
the Canadian Rockies.
Canadian Rockies, right? We're talking about Banff and Lake Louise.
You have to represent.
Yeah, up there in Alberta. Okay, all right. It's not yeah. It was interesting too. That they had this video of it kind of looked like a drone shot. It looked like an AI drone shot of a drone flying through the mountains, and then it goes into this barn, and then in the barn are all these Flying V guitars, and they have different nationalities on them. Which I thought it was funny that the American one, the U.S. flag, was very prominent right next to the Canadian flag. Like play to the audience. I wonder if they have a different version of that when they do a show in Italy or something.
They had an Italian one, right?
Yeah, it was
a Mexican one. Yeah,
a Spanish one too.
And speaking of, I just want to say one more thing about flags. The Irish flag.
Speaking of flags,
it's not that kind of show.
The Irish flag and the Italian flag and the Mexican flag are all very similar. I just learned this.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I was in Ireland and I kept seeing Italian flags everywhere, and I realized they weren't actually Italian flags; they were the Irish flag.
Irish flag has orange in it, though.
Yeah, that's the only difference. Otherwise, it's exactly the same flag. Anyway, back to Les Paul.
All right. So,
Cool.
I said earlier he was an innovator. I toyed with the idea of tinkerer, and then I decided that tinkerer wasn't a word, but maybe it is. I don't know. But he was always trying to solve problems. Well, he was presented with a problem in the 50s, and he was in a car accident and injured his right arm to the point that they were close to having to amputate it. And somehow, talking with his doctors or whatever, they decided, okay, we don't have to amputate your arm, but we're going to have to lock your elbow in position. And he supposedly positioned his arm as if he was holding a guitar, and he said, lock it like this. And so it
Sounds like a rap song.
Lock it like this. But it enabled him to continue playing guitar.
Lock it like it's hot.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that he was Steve Miller's godfather, and that is the Steve Miller. Evidently, his and I think this was in Wisconsin. Steve Miller's father was an audiophile and an early home recorder, and would like to go to shows and bring his recording equipment, which is, now you just have an iPhone sitting in your pocket. He probably had, mics and big bulky equipment that he would carry around. And he came to a Les Paul show and said, hey, can I record this? When of course Les Paul is totally into recording and interesting things, and they strike up a friendship. It's a lifelong friendship. He was around, Steve Miller before he was born, and kind of watched him grow up. I heard a really cool tape of, and I think Steve Miller might have included it on one of his albums, but it's a home recording, and it's a conversation between a 5-year-old Steve Miller and Les Paul. And Les Paul is saying, hey, you did a really good job there. And Steve Miller is talking about that he doesn't like his singing voice. And Les Paul says, no, you're really good. You're going to go places.
Oh, wow.
Keep it up. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I think Steve Miller's from Texas.
I believe he was born in Wisconsin and came to Texas shortly thereafter, because I always thought he was from Texas as well. And this seemed to contradict that. But again, it's the same level of diligence and effort that I was signed in on for the Dirt Nap City research. So
our research team is a little backed up right now.
Yeah, exactly.
4 to 6 weeks.
So coming back to the guitars themselves and saying this is the most iconic guitar, certainly one of them. These guitars, when they were produced, you could buy a brand new one for about $300. I don't know what the inflation rate would be. That would be in modern
the 40s,
dollars.
50s.
Yeah, no, 52 is when they were introduced.
Okay,
I think they were probably about a $2,500 guitar. Not cheap, but not not.
If you're a serious musician, that would be an investment.
That would be an investment,
yeah.
Right? And so, not that you would ever buy a guitar for an investment. There's proof.
No. But I mean, you would buy it to further
as
your
a
music
quality,
career
as a quality product.
Buy
for
it
sure.
once.
So
are guitars like any other
Collector's
kind of
items?
equipment where you have people that like a certain ecosystem? Do you have people that only buy Les Pauls or
Yes.
only buy Fenders, or most people have, like, guitar players? Do they have a variety because they all sound a little bit different?
Yes, and yes. I think if you are a collector, you probably have a very narrow bandwidth of what you're looking for. And probably you want one that has this fret configuration, this neck profile, these pickups, these pots, which are some of the equipment that's inside the guitar. Potentiometers. There you go. Thank you. I actually didn't know. I always called them pots, but potentiometer. There you go.
They are called pots.
Yeah. Certain tailpiece, and they all have different effects on the guitar. But if you're a musician, you need different tools, and they all do sound different. They bring something different characteristics to playing. Even someone like me, I can tell the difference and I am by amateur at the is a
So if you went to Guitar Center, some people just head right for the Les Pauls.
Absolutely.
And they don't even mess with any of the other stuff.
Right.
They think it sounds inferior. Or that's just not their style.
So if you're going into
it's kind of a brand thing too. It's like certain people, like you said, Bruce Springsteen is known for playing Fenders, and certain people are known for playing Gibsons. Like you wouldn't see this musician, and then some are ambiguous. Some will do any, but
they probably have endorsements too, where.
Well, even people without it, like smaller bands, I think, that don't have endorsements. But you said ecosystem. I don't think guitars are like that in that there is incompatibility. It's
Marshall amp will take them all, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's not the issue. I think it's more about like what AW said. It's the kind of style you have. But what I think is interesting about guitars, and maybe even pedals to a degree, and maybe even amps to a degree, they're not. If you don't buy a cheap mass market one. Last night they were marketing a guitar for charity, and Al from Austin looked it up and saw that it was basically a $300 guitar they were selling for $3,500. Now they were doing that for the charity, right? So okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but
it was mass marketed, probably without the Triumph autographs, probably won't be worth very much as a resale, and the autographs make a difference. But just if you just bought that guitar by itself, but if you buy a limited edition or a really high-end guitar, those, I believe, just like other musical instruments, actually appreciate in value. And I think the same thing is true. Certain pedals are kind of hard to find, and in that community, you can sell an old 1960s pedal. Whereas if you buy a VCR or a DVD player or a TV, you're waiting for your TV to break so you can get a new one. You're never going to get your money back. That TV is an expendable, right? Even though it was a big purchase, it's going to go away. But guitars kind of fall in a weird sort of technology / collectors.
So it's interesting.
That was a rant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it's interesting you say that, how, the value goes up. It's not that the quality goes up, because there were a lot of really great guitars that were built, and you can buy a 52, you could buy a 53, today you can find those on different sites, but it's what is it called? The provenance, who owned and played that guitar matters. As an example, Jeff Beck, who is a guitarist that inducted Les Paul into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he played a guitar and I can't remember the name of his guitar. I'm sorry. It sold at auction for $1.3 million.
Now, you're not talking about the same model. You're talking about the actual guitar.
I'm talking about the actual guitar.
Yeah. Well,
you could buy the model. You could buy that model today. I have a brand new, 2024 Les Paul Special it is a replica of a 1957 guitar. It is brand new. It is a 1957 guitar. You can buy that guitar. What I'm saying is, when you're going for resale, the resale value really depends on who owned it, who played it, and then what some fool wants to spend on it.
But even if nobody famous ever owned a 1950 or 1960 guitar, it was just a guitar that someone bought or stayed in the shop, never got sold, whatever. Still, they don't make those anymore. They might make replicas or reproductions of them.
True.
But if you want an original, it's an antique at that point. And if it's still in good working order and it looks good, I think the value of it goes up. But it's interesting, when we were in Ireland, I actually went into a luthier shop, like just to kind of look around. And it was mostly violins, fiddles, mandolins, it was, more Irish kind of music stuff. But the ones they were selling were very, very expensive, and I don't imagine they were that much originally. I think they were reconditioned, and it's like, if you wanted to buy a perfect mint condition Model T Ford today, it wouldn't be cheap. It would be a lot more, because it's harder to find parts for.
I wonder how Les Paul felt about Jimi Hendrix and Pete Townsend constantly wrecking their guitars at the end of shows. Do you think that just pained him?
No,
each time?
It was more money, because they had to buy a new one. So each time they wrecked a guitar, he was like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. That's his his
But
retirement.
you
And
guys
not
talk
just-
about these things as if they're pieces of art, but remember, a lot of guys, would destroy these things. At the end of
Right.
shows.
I would guess, I don't know this for a fact because I can't be in those guys' heads, but I would guess they had their guitars that they would never smash. Didn't who was it that had names for their guitars? I feel like a lot of
B.B.
them.
King's was Lucille.
Lucille, yeah, he would never smash Lucille,
Yeah.
but some cheap one that sounds fine for the concert that was $300 that Triumph happened to autograph.
I
Boom.
think those are the ones. First of all, people smashing their guitars aren't paying for their own guitars. Is my theory. I don't know that that's true.
But as somebody who is like a craftsman,
yeah,
that must be tough to watch.
I would argue that he wasn't the craftsman. Gibson was the craftsman. He put his name on it.
Yeah.
Now if you're talking about a handmade luthier, guitar, that is made by one person from start to finish, that is not only a work of art, but it's a super, super high quality. At the end of the day, these things are still mass produced.
So he didn't care if Jimi Hendrix was smashing guitars, as long as it gave him the sounds that he's been inventing.
Yeah, I think that, to Kelly's point, it sold more guitars.
Did he ever talk about rock and rollers? Like, did he like that crowd of people that were kind of the...
Yeah, I don't know. I know he had a relationship with Slash, and maybe it's because of the Les Paul guitar, that is. And I know that, of course, he was related, or was godfather to Steve Miller, so he was in there, but I don't know did he ever express an opinion? I did come across numerous times the irony that a country and jazz guitarist, created
became the king of rock and roll with musical instruments.
Yeah,
Not in the Elvis kind of way. But
right. So go ahead.
Well, I had a question for you guys, and I like to do this. If you aren't watching right now, we're all putting our thumbs out sideways, and I'm going to say a word, and I want you to go up or down quickly without thinking about it.
Great audio, by the way.
It's so good. Yeah.
All right, you ready? Flying V. Okay.
Peer pressure.
We all went down. I think the Flying V is the stupidest looking guitar. We three no votes.
You
for the
brought one
Flying
out
V.
last night.
I know, and I was like, oh, they were doing so well until that happened.
No, but you'd be disappointed if they didn't do that.
Okay.
When you go to see a band from that era, you gotta have one.
Okay, one more.
Hang on, but Triumph is also, the Flying V is on their album covers.
true.
It's their logo.
That's what I'm saying.
That's true. That's true. Okay,
Yeah.
I just don't.
What
like,
about the double necks?
I was about. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, double necks. Alex said yes.
They're
AW.
ridiculous. They're so funny.
Well, here's the
they
thing.
look so cumbersome and heavy.
Rick Emmett is not a big guy,
Yeah.
and he
Right.
looked tiny.
And that thing
I thought
looked
he was going to
enormous.
fall over.
I know.
He's this old man up there with this 60-pound guitar.
Yeah.
So heavy and
Yeah.
cumbersome.
Yeah.
looking. But
Yeah.
he could shred.
He did shred it, and I think the
yeah,
top one was a 12-string.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why you have typically why you have a double neck.
Okay.
What
and
about the cheap trick? The cheap trick. Would you say 8 necks?
I think he has 8 necks.
Yeah.
Oh.
How do you like that?
it's a gimmick. It's
Yeah.
just,
Of course
it's
it is.
just a
cheap
gimmick.
trick. It's
Yeah.
a cheap trick.
It's a
Kelly.
cheap trick.
There you go.
Hence the name. Well, okay. Thank you.
All right.
for-
So before we get too far away from this, I
late.
do like to tie things back to Dirt Nap City.
oh
And
yeah.
so this is
People he met.
I'm trying to suck up to the host, so maybe I get invited back again. But I did a little research.
Nice.
I believe that just flat out episodes of musicians. So there's not a lot on Dirt Nap City. Bob Marley
Yeah.
actually played a Les Paul Jr., which is a slightly different guitar.
Did his son have something to do with that?
No, it's a different model. But
it was Junior.
oh, sorry.
There is no Les Paul Jr. person.
I don't know. I didn't get into the family
And then he
stuff.
named the guitar after the
Junior. Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Junior man.
kid. You
Sorry,
were going with
I'm very focused on this. Sorry. But there was a 2-part episode, is Rock and Roll Dead?
Yeah.
And I actually had my friend Jim and I create a list of all the artists that were mentioned in those 2 episodes.
Oh, that's a lot.
43. 43. According, I mean, I know there's going to be error.
There's a Spotify playlist too.
Yeah.
Of every song that we mentioned.
Ooh, that would have
It's
been
a tough
interesting.
listen.
Yeah, I bet.
A lot of craft work on there.
I'm looking at some of these names here. So there were 43 artists, and of those 43, only 8 of them are confirmed associated with the Les Paul. And we have, do y'all want to venture any guesses, or you want me to just run through this?
Go through it.
Yeah, so we got Mark Knopfler.
Oh, yeah.
Of Dire Straits. Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin, of course. Mick Mars of everyone's favorite, Motley Crue.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of names that I don't know the names, but I know the band. And it's Scott Gorman and Brian Robertson of Thin Lizzy. Both.
Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
They were Les Paul guys.
They were Les Paul guys. And then there's, you think of Tom Petty, and he's predominantly a Rickenbacker guy.
Yeah.
But Mike Campbell was of the Tom Petty's, of the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
He's a Les Paul guy. And then, what is this guy's name? Because this is Joe Troman. And Joe, apologies if I've messed up your name there, but a Fall Out Boy. I'm not familiar with that band, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like Blink 182.
Okay.
They did a cover, that awful cover of We Didn't Start the Fire, updated to include 9/11.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad.
So, okay.
And they're named after a Simpsons character.
Right.
After Radioactive Man and Fallout Boy.
Right.
Oh, I didn't
It's
know
like
that.
Batman and Robin.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. Yep. And then last, and this is really more of an occasional association, but it's our friend Prince that you just mentioned. Yeah.
He's a Les Paul guy.
Occasionally, because I think of him more as a Telecaster guy, or his crazy, homemade guitars.
Other Dirt Nap City musicians, though, included John Lennon
John Lennon, yeah.
and Merv Griffin.
John Lennon played a Les Paul Jr. Yeah. I didn't realize Merv Griffin was a Les Paul.
He
I'm saying he was another musician. He did that Coconut song. I
He
remember.
played.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
He played the frying pan.
Yeah, the Hawaiian style
Yeah.
frying pan
Was
guitar.
that the only other musicians that we had?
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
Oh yeah, and then Rasputin wasn't a musician, but Boney M did the song.
I don't.
And he played a keytar.
I
That
don't
that
know
was more
what
of a
Boney
keytar
M-
thing.
Boney.
Rasputin was a.
By the way, shout out to Boney M.
Yeah, Boney M. If you're listening, hit us up.
Yeah.
If you're alive. Well,
Okay.
that was good. That was good. You know, I think you fretted a little bit. There was a little hand wringing about whether you were.
I see what you did there. That's a nice pun.
There's no need to fret about this. You did a thank you.
Well, you nerded out, is what I would say.
Yeah.
On something that you're clearly passionate about. Guitars. You. How many guitars do you have?
Just two. I have an acoustic and an electric.
How many different guitars have you had over your life?
Oh, maybe 5 or 6. But I usually
when you
keep
get
it at
one,
2.
do you get rid of one?
Yes.
So you always have 2.
I had 3 at one point. I had a 12 string, and I sold it with another one, which enabled me to get a different guitar, and so now I keep it at 2.
Is there a particular guitar that is like your holy grail? Like if I had this guitar, I would sell more stuff to get this guitar. Is there like something that you've always, if you had like a windfall?
Yeah. So, probably, I really love my Les Paul Special, which it's just a basic guitar. It's loud and noisy. It has what's called a P90 pickup system instead of a humbucker, which,
Humbucker.
well, so it's exactly what it sounds like. So old pickups, P90s, they get some interference and they're noisy and they create a hum.
Crunchy.
Yeah. And so the humbucker was designed to prevent that. And it's the way the coils are wound and positioned, it eliminates that hum. But in eliminating the hum, it also eliminates some of the rock and roll edge. What's cool is that there's a lot of guitars now that have both styles of pickups built into them. So,
As I told Kelly recently, my 3 favorite guitar players of all time, Prince,
Yeah.
David Gilmour
Yeah.
and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Those are some good ones, man.
Are they all Les Paul guys? Except you already talked about Prince.
Yeah. So Prince is a maybe. And then Stevie Ray Vaughan was a Stratocaster guy. And then who was David Gilmour? I think was a Stratocaster guy as well. So my favorite guitarist is Jimi Hendrix. And he's also a Telecaster guy. But the reason that this is going back to how do you select a guitar, and I think Kelly made the observation about, maybe looks or things like that. I was in middle school, and at the time I was a very big Aerosmith fan, and I will stand by any pre-1980 Aerosmith.
Poison the Attic.
Yeah.
Post 1980 is a tough sell.
I 100% agree. Same thing with ZZ Top. Early stuff.
We've already established Sleeping Bags, maybe the worst song of all time.
What about Velcro Zipper? It's just
Tube Steak Boogie.
Oh my God. But the early stuff, absolutely phenomenal.
Jesus Just Left Chicago, LaGrange.
One of my favorite songs.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. I have a really great Billy Gibbons story, by the way. So, but for me, I loved Aerosmith. And I saw a picture of Joe Perry playing a Les Paul. That was it. I wanted a Les Paul. That's how I started down the path. And so it was who I liked, who I idolized. I wanted to emulate that.
Sure. It's like the whole Nike, Adidas, thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, man.
So,
well, thank you. This has been great.
Yeah, thanks, Al from Austin. We hope you always rock out with us. We appreciate you joining the band.
Indeed. Thank you, fellas.
Most of my audience here are youngsters that don't remember Les Paul and Mary Ford. But, well, there's a few of you guys, okay? I'm surprised. Anyway, many years ago, Mary and I started out making some multiple recordings. And in the effort of doing this, I struck on the idea, besides inventing the multiple tape machine, the solid body guitar, all this garbage, I came up with an idea. And I said, how can I do this on the stage so that you get the same sound that you get on the records? Because, it's overdub. You understand what I'm saying, lady? Yeah, no. And so what happened is I got the bright idea and I invented, this is my invention right here, this little black box. Yeah. Don't you wish you could take it home with you? Well, with my little black box here, I can take my guitar and multiply it into an orchestra. Billy Squire is worried sick over my little black box. Now, I'd like to show you how it works. I'm going to start with one guitar and multiply it into an orchestra, and then I can do with those guys, out. Here's how it goes. Now I'm going to play that back for you, okay? That's not bad, right? Now I had a bass part. Now watch. That's two parts, okay? Now I'll worry the drummer. That's three parts, okay? Now I put them all together and it sounds like this. Turn the monitor up.